A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A plus English because it's so much fun. English education for you and everyone, so come along. Learn some grammar, learn a phrase, learn something new every day. Learn the A plus way. Hey, it's time to start the show. Are you ready? Good, 'cause here we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A plus English.
Welcome back, everyone, to A Plus English. I'm Adam.
And I'm Elsie.
And in our last
episode,
our story, we focused on this boy named Xiaoyu, who is who is a young boy and who shares a close bond with his grandpa, right? Grandpa tells him wonderful stories about a toy kingdom, and he even teaches him how to make toys.
Yeah, and Xiaoyu especially loves Grandpa's spinning tops, 陀螺, and they often enjoy friendly competitions together.
That's right, yeah. But what happens? Remember, Xiaoyu is growing up, and then he what?
He leaves to study in another country, and they exchange meaningful gifts, a spinning top from each of them.
Exactly. And I mean, that is a great way to remind each other of their love and that special connection between grandson and grandfather. So that actually brings us to our warm-up question of the day. It says, what are some problems with getting old?
Oh, getting old.
Yeah.
Number one, you might have trouble moving.
Yeah, for sure.
Since joints and muscles can get weaker, 会越来越弱, 没有力气.
Yeah. If you're not active, it can get weaker. Yeah, my back, right? Sometimes your back.
You're getting old.
I'm getting older. What's another one? We could say long-term illnesses. So, you know, health problems like heart disease or diabetes becomes more common when you get older.
Yeah, and you might have a weaker immune system or your vision and hearing might, get worse.
Right, yeah, especially when the winter's coming, your, immune system might get worse. Also, kind of sometimes when I call my mom, I talk to her and sometimes she has a little bit of a memory loss. So it's harder for her to remember things.
Okay, so they'll all have to rely on others, right? And of course, we have to help them.
Yeah, and we have to help them with simple tasks, and that's just a good thing to be as a family. You always help your family members or the elderly.
Grandpa's Toy Kingdom. Warm-up question. What are some problems with getting old?
Xiaoyu carries the top with him everywhere. Seasons and years pass. Grandpa begins forgetting things. This happens often. He forgets plans with friends. He forgets his reason for leaving the house. Finally, he can't remember his friends and sometimes gets lost.
So everyone, jumping back into our article, it says, Xiaoyu carries the top with him everywhere.
Wow, it's clear they have a very close bond, right?
Right, yeah. If you are taking that top with him, obviously he's studying abroad.
Yeah.
He's a college student. He probably thinks he's cool. But he's still carrying that memento, that gift that his father gave him.
Yeah, he must miss his grandpa a lot.
Exactly. All right, continuing, it says, seasons and years pass. Grandpa begins forgetting things.
It must be really hard for Grandpa to start forgetting things. How do you think he feels about it? I mean, Grandpa.
Well, that's a good question, right? So does he know that he's forgetting it?
If he knows, he might feel very, very nervous and anxious about it, right?
Exactly. If you know that you're losing your memory or things like that, then maybe he's going to do something that will help him not forget. And that's what our article brings us to. It says, this happens often. He forgets plans with friends. He forgets his reason for leaving the house. Continuing, it says, finally, he can't remember his friends and sometimes gets lost.
Wow, it's sad when we can't remember things that are important to us.
Yeah, it's one of the worst things that can happen to us as human beings that, we forget the people that care for us for so much and that we care for them and we just can't remember them. It's a very hard thing for all family members to deal with.
One day, Grandpa can't find Xiaoyu's top. He gets angry and throws everything on the floor. His children stay with him and lock the toy workshop. They don't want Grandpa to hurt himself. After this, Grandpa spends most of his time in his study. He writes in a notebook but won't allow anyone to read it.
So like we said before, forgetting things or losing one's memories is a hard thing to deal with, and it can make anyone, kind of get angry, right? And so our article says, one day, Grandpa can't find Xiaoyu's top. He gets angry and throws everything on the floor.
So, do you get angry when you can't find something?
Yes, of course. Sometimes I usually try to take a deep breath and try to stay calm.
You're trying to stay calm? Really? Really?
Yes.
Okay. I'm always the calm one. So to me, losing things is not a big deal. It's just a thing. And you can always find it later.
Okay.
Or buy a new one.
All right. Well, yeah, we have a phrase for that, right? The phrase in English, or as native speakers would say, we would say, don't cry over spilt milk, which means, don't cry over something or don't get angry if it's something so simple and that you don't really need to get that angry about.
Okay.
All right. Jumping back to our article. So Grandpa got angry. He threw everything to the floor.
Yes.
What happens next? It says his children stay with him and lock the toy workshop.
Workshop 这个名词是工作坊. So it's nice that Grandpa's children stay with him to make sure he's safe, he's okay, and he's not alone. So family is always important when it comes to supporting each other.
Yeah, with anything like that, family is the backbone, we say. The backbone of the family or of each person in the family. Just like with anything, if somebody gets sick, you try to take care of them. Someone has an injury, the family comes in to help. Now, with our article, it says they don't want Grandpa to hurt himself.
Oh, and that's why they lock the workshop. They don't want him to go in anymore.
Right. I mean, there's stuff probably in the workshop that could hurt him. Maybe there's tools that if he throws or gets angry, that could hurt him.
So what else can we do to help the elderly in our family?
I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, we can help them by the simple thing, everyone, is just to be there for them. Making sure they're safe and offering support when they need it. But most of the time, they just want someone to listen to them.
Yes. Okay. And so we can also help by, checking in regularly, call them or make sure they have everything they need. And it's important to make them feel loved and cared for.
Exactly. Everyone, when you grow old, I know you students right now are younger right now, but as you get older, it's very important. A phone call goes a very long way when you call your grandpa or your mother or father. It's just very nice and it shows that you really do love and support them. So, we learned in our article so far that they locked the toy store. And now what happens? Well, it says after this, Grandpa spends most of his time in his study.
Study here is used as a noun, 是个名词，代表书房。
Yeah, it's a part maybe in the house that has maybe the computer or the books, and it's where people, what we do, study, read, things like that. All right, so he sits in his study most of the time. Well, what's he doing in there? Well, we find out our article tells us he writes in a notebook but won't allow anyone to read it.
Oh, maybe he's writing down his thoughts or memories that he wants to keep for himself.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very important thing. You know you're losing some of your memories you want to write down, so when you do lose them, you can come back and kind of, help remind yourself of those memories.
OK, 那现在要到我们单字的部分咯。好，我们要看到的第一个单字是 everywhere 这个副词，代表到处各个地方。那你 every 是每一个，而后面加上不同的字，它就有不同的意思，像是 everyone、everybody 那就是每个人， everything 每个东西， every time 每次每个时候。那单字例句给的是呢 You can find 7-Eleven stores everywhere in Taiwan. There is one next to my house. 你能够在台湾各处看到小七，我家旁边就有一间。那第二个单字是 pass 这个动词，它代表的是时间的过去或是流逝。那你在这个主词加上时间，好，比如说 3 days 3天，后面加上 past， 那就代表3天过去了 3 days passed。 那 pass 当然有别的意思，比如说传递，好 pass the ball 传球，也可以当作通过 pass the test 通过考试。单字例句给的是呢 9 months passed And then Stephanie had a beautiful baby girl. 9个月过去了 Stephanie 生了一个漂亮的女宝宝。在第三个单字是 lock， 这边当作动词使用，指的是上锁。像是呢 Don't forget to lock the door when you leave the house. 别忘了在离开家的时候把门上锁。那如果是解锁的话，当然就在字首加上 un 变成 unlock 就可以了。For example, I unlocked my phone with my fingerprint. 我用指纹解锁了手机。那另外 lock 的字尾加上了 er 就变成 locker， 好，它指的是锁柜。像是呢 I keep my books and coat in the locker at school. 我把书和外套放在学校的锁柜里面。那这边提供的单字例句是 Remember to lock the front door when we go out. 我们出门的时候不要忘记把前门锁上。那第四个单字是 notebook， 代表笔记本。那我们说呢 note 是笔记， take notes 是写笔记。好，那 notebook 就是你写笔记的地方，那一个布字。For example, I use a notebook to take notes during class. 好，我在上课的时候都会用一本笔记本写下我的笔记。那单字例句提供的是 Helen bought a new notebook for taking notes in class. Helen 买了一本新的笔记本，用来在课堂上写笔记。那最后到了 Magic Box 的部分，我们要来看看命令某人做某事，要求某人做某事，或是想要某人做某事，该怎么样表达。第一个Tell somebody to do something. 好，那就是告诉某人去做某件事情。那 tell 的三态是 tell, told, told. 在使用上面要小心。For example, the teacher told the students to finish their homework before the break. 老师告诉学生，好，在休息前要完成作业。那另外Ask somebody to do something, 那就是请某人去做某件事情。For example, she asked me to help her with the science report. 她请我帮她做那个科学报告。那还有一个是 want somebody to do something, 想要某人做某事。I want you to clean your room before you go out. 我想要让你在出门前打扫房间。
Review time.
Okay, now everyone, it's time for our review time. Let's review some of the words and phrases that we learned throughout the article. The first word we see is everywhere.
副词到处各个地方。
The next word we see is pass.
动词时间的过去或是流逝。
After that, we see the word lock.
动词上锁。
And lastly, notebook.
名词笔记本。
So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We have to fill in the word to the sentence to make sure that they are the correct words in the sentence matching that sentence.
Okay, so I got the first one for you.
You got the first one. Okay, pressure.
I like to take my blank with me everywhere to take notes during meetings.
Oh, you do this though. Okay, yeah.
Do I?
Yeah, you take your notebook.
Notebook.
Right, you take your notebook everywhere with you. All right, let's see if you can get this one and if you guys can get this one. Here we go. Time seems to ... so quickly when you're having fun.
当你玩开心的时候，时间就似乎过得很快。Time flies. Time seems to pass so quickly.
Very good. Time seems to pass so quickly when you're having fun.
Okay, and this one. I had to blank the door before I left the house to make sure everything was safe.
Oh, you sometimes actually forget to do this. At night too. All right, so I had to lock the door before I left the house.
Lock the door.
All right, and number 4, how about you see if you can get this one? There were flowers, ... in the garden, making it look very beautiful.
There were flowers everywhere in the garden.
All right.
花朵在花园里面到处都是。好啦，那还喜欢今天的内容吗？记得按赞、订阅、开启小铃铛，你就不会错过任何精彩的内容咯。我们下次见啦 ，See you next time， 拜拜。
All right, bye-bye.